So Deshaun Watson was traded to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Most guaranteed money in NFL history.
Yeah.
Cleveland claims that they did their homework, but the lawyer representing the 22 accusers say that they never spoke.
Yep.
How can anybody root for this team?
Okay, so we're going to start the show off in a heavy place because it is the biggest news in the sports world over the last few days. And let me directly answer the question. People will be able to root for the Browns because people compartmentalize. And by the way, I'm not going to judge them for that. There is the whole idea of separate the art from the artist. People have been doing that in music and in movies for a very long time. Like you're allowed to, think Rosemary's Baby is one of the greatest movies ever made, even if you feel like the Roman Polanski was a really bad guy. People are allowed to, love Thriller, even if they have major questions about things Michael Jackson did or didn't do. And hey, I root for the Kansas City Chiefs. And we know Tyreek Hill years ago in college did some pretty awful things. And there are some pretty damning allegations about things he did much more recently. So I'm not judging Browns fans. And I think we compartmentalize. I think if you don't compartmentalize, it's very hard to be a sports fan. With that said, I feel disgusting about how this whole thing played out. So I understand that Deshaun Watson was not indicted by the grand jury. I also understand this. If you read the lawsuits, if you follow this story, even more damning than any of the lawsuits, if you read the Sports Illustrated article from an accuser who is not included in the lawsuit, so not suing Deshaun, not after no financial windfall, no benefit seemingly whatsoever, and her story lines up with the nearly 24 other women who have made allegations against Deshaun, it is for me personally impossible for me to believe that Deshaun Watson is being framed, that it is a multi-person, multi-state conspiracy. I believe Deshaun Watson did a lot of, if not all of, he's alleged to have done. So I'm going to say it on the front end. So that in and of itself makes you feel really gross about this whole situation. I'm going to say something else. I think Deshaun Watson benefited from the fact that his specific allegations are so uncomfortable to discuss. You can't really talk about them in polite company. I, for the better part of a year, did not find a way to talk about them on television. I think it would not have ended up going so well for him as it did, and we'll get to how well it went for him in just a moment, if he had been accused of hitting 22 women. Because you can talk about that on TV. But because his allegations are so prurient and weird and it's just hard to do on television, I think that the Browns knew they were going to skate on at least some of the media coverage. So I think all of that played into it, right? But one of the reasons I feel so weird about this whole thing is because he ended up a huge winner. The most guaranteed money in NFL history, and the Browns went out of their way to make sure if he's suspended this year, his salary is only $1 million, so the money he would lose on the suspension is minimal. He'll get his money in roster bonus, signing bonus, all of that. But then on top of all of it, the two things I find most galling are the Browns claiming they did their due diligence, and as DeMonte said, you don't even call Tony Busby. Now again, even if you're not going to listen to Tony Busby, even if it was all about Deshaun the football player, fine. At least call him so you can say you called him. But oddly, the part that I think is the most galling was the quote about Baker to Chris Mortensen from a high-ranking Browns, either executive or someone in the front office. We want an adult in the room. Because what that is saying is, we think Baker, the person, is not up to our standards. But Deshaun Watson is. Okay. Okay. Like, that's the path you're walking down. And I'm going to say this, then we'll move on. We went a little longer here than we needed to, or than we probably should have, but it's an important topic. I once upon a time had a relationship with Deshaun. I know his agent incredibly well. And I guess, in the world of agents, he did a great job with the contract, I guess is how, if you want to view it through that prism. I've spent a night at a club having drinks with Deshaun Watson. I was as shocked as anyone when these allegations came out. I did not want to believe them. If you don't know, I used to live in Houston. I was there when I was never friends with Deshaun, but I knew Deshaun. So I didn't want to believe this. But it is to me impossible to follow this story and not believe it. And now we know that the penalty he's paying is nothing. $230 million, all guaranteed. And even if the league suspends him for a full year, that $230 million becomes $229 million. So it all worked out for him. It has not appeared to work out for the nearly 24 women who have accused him of some really, really awful things. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.